Welcome to the Real Film Nerds
Harvest Horror Fest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last and final Harvest Horror Fest installment for 2018.
Hey, you got it right this time. That's great.
Now, did I get the horror part, or did I get not say Halloween, or both?
Horror.
Horror part?
Horror.
Horror.
All right.
Fine. Horror. Horror. See, I just say it fast, and it sounds like horror.
Oh. Did you see that we had actually more than 4 people streaming this last week or last couple weeks? I don't know if you looked at the numbers, but we had a big spike.
I did see the big spike, but I wasn't sure if that was a hacker or not because it was on, if you look at these stats on who downloaded and stuff, it said Lave. But I do know one thing that we do need to discuss at a later date is one of our partners, Signals AZ. They have caught up, and they are almost up to our current number because they've been posting one episode a day to catch up.
Oh, they have been. Okay.
Yeah, and that's because my buddy Torrance is doing all the posting for our podcast on the site now. So thanks, Torrance. There's your shout out, buddy, if you listen to this.
Nice. Yes, thanks, Torrance.
But yeah, so he's been posting every day, and he's just about caught up to our current episode, which is 59 or 60 that we just put out. 59. I think it was 59. Event Horizon. Anyways, our last Harvest Horror Fest was our last episode.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
Anyways, thanks, Torrance. And, Signals AZ, they're taking care of us. You know, they're keeping us going. They're getting us out there. So I think that might account definitely for a spike in our numbers. I'm trying to work it, get as many people listening as I can. You know, if I had more than 3 friends, I'm sure I'd have more listeners, but I don't. And, you know, Mr. Mile High Show, he'll never listen to this damn podcast because he's a crotchety old bastard.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So, anyways, to get back on topic, our final Harvest Horror Fest of the year is one of my favorite movies ever, especially in the horror genre, is Cabin in the Woods. And I forgot to introduce myself. I got super off topic, but I am your host, Mr. Matt Hinshaw, photographer extraordinaire sometimes. And then to my left, or shall I say far, far east, is my buddy Mysterious Mike.
Hey everyone. Yeah, sorry to get you so off topic, but I felt that you did good on the intro, and then I distracted you with all the rude stuff. Sorry.
It's okay. I distract easy. I'm like a 5-year-old child, or like a puppy, you know,
Squirrel.
or like that. Yeah, that dog in. I was just gonna do that. Yeah, that dog in Up.
Yes.
That has the little talking thing. He says squirrel. Yeah. So, anyways, all right, Mike. Well, are you ready to talk about one of both of our favorite films ever?
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
It might become a long one, folks, so hang in there. I don't think it'll be too long, but who knows? This can go anywhere. So, Mike, go ahead and give us the rundown of 2012's The Cabin in the Woods.
All right, so this is directed by Drew Goddard. It's written by Josh Whedon and Drew Goddard. It's starring Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Anna Hutchinson, Fran Krantz, Jesse Williams, and the summary of this movie is 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods.
All right, so I totally forgot to do my quote, and I had a really good quote, too, that I wanted to say. So I'm going to say it now anyways.
Oh, okay. All right,
You ready for this, Mike?
Yeah.
All right, this is done by the character of Marty. Statistical fact. Cops will never pull over a man with a huge bong in his car. Why? They fear this man. They know he sees further than they, and he will bind them with ancient logics.
Nice.
It's just like one of the most absurd random quotes, and it's like one of the first ones ever in the movie.
Yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. It covers so many of the kind of horror tropes and different things. And when I saw this movie, one of my friends at work recommended it. He's like, "Hey, I saw this movie. It was really good. It was a little different." He said, "I think you would like it." And then I went and saw it, and I was like, "Oh man, that movie was awesome." So, so glad I got to see this in the theater.
I saw it twice in the theater, maybe 3 times. I'm not 100%. But I was talking with my friend Christine, who I've gone to a handful of movies with. She went to my birthday dinner the other day with me. And we were discussing Cabin in the Woods because I told her about how we were doing a podcast about it. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I remember when we went and saw that. And that was like your second or third time seeing it." I was like, "Yeah." But I was telling her when I first went and watched Cabin in the Woods, I don't know if I missed like the title scene or if I showed up like right at the beginning or something. But I came in and I sat down. And I mean, this is not a joke. This is not a lie. This is legit. I really did this. For those of you who do not know, and I don't think it's a spoiler, it's the very beginning of the film, but it starts out the exact opposite of a horror movie or anything else you would ever think. It's just some dudes in basically an office setting talking. And I'm like, I thought this was a horror movie. What the hell's going on? So I literally got up, walked out to the theater, looked at the marquee over the door of the theater, went, "Huh," and then walked back in. And then, like, the instant I walked back in, the whole huge lettering that popped up with loud music that said Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, man. I was reading up some trivia on this movie, and what you just stated is exactly what they wanted to happen. They wanted you to think that you weren't in a horror movie, which is really funny that it worked for you.
Oh, yeah, dude. They tricked me so bad because I was just like, this is weird. Like, what the hell is going on? I don't understand this at all.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, this was it definitely started unconventionally.
Yeah, and I love it. They nailed it. I mean, as I said, they tricked me. I literally did that. I'm not joking. I did. I was like, what the hell? I thought I was seeing a horror movie. It was great. I loved it. That's one of my favorite things is how it starts out that way. That it's just like some no-name, kind of almost like Office space-y kind of movie start.
Yeah. This movie, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler either. It has a little bit of comedy in it, but I feel like it's just perfect the way that it's mixed with the seriousness of the movie and various things that happen. So I just thought they did just perfect.
I agree. It's not what I would call your typical horror comedy like Shaun of the Dead or something along those lines where it's intentionally over the top funny and a horror film at the same time. This one feels like it's definitely funny, but there is a clear balance between the two. It is frightening. It is scary. It does have its horror moments that are supposed to, make you jump and freak out. Whereas in something like Shaun of the Dead, you really don't have that too much. It's more of the horror part is just kind of what it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think this one isn't trying to be like too comedy, like let's see, how would I say this? Slapsticky, or no, that's not
like comedy centric. I mean, because it's quite comedy centric, but it's not. I would say it's more horror than it is a comedy, but it is a nice blend of the two.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing I was going to talk about, is that this one is definitely one of the more difficult films to discuss without spoiling it, just purely based on the premise of the film itself. Like, we can discuss a lot of the horror tropes, like, for instance, there's clearly a shout out to Friday the 13th. I mean, the cabin in the woods is right next to a lake, a beautiful mountain top lake, and that's Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there's zombies in it, you know, and the zombies are a clear shout out to,
probably a lot of stuff like
Night
of the Living Dead, or I mean,
yeah, I was just trying to think where to start, but yeah, Night of the Living Dead, or I mean, all kinds of them. I was trying to think more because they have
George
regular
Romero
zombies
or whatever.
Yes, yeah, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead for sure, but there's lots of zombie stuff that there's zombies, but it's more than that. There's a story behind them too. You know, to the specific zombies.
Yeah.
So it's like 28 Days-esque too, in a way. I don't know. There's lots of shout-outs to almost the history of horror cinema up to this point in time. Just tons.
Yeah, there's things with like the classic sex scene with the characters and stuff. It managed to kind of hit on all the major things that horror movies have, but in their own unique spin that was just fun to watch from beginning to end.
Yeah, especially just the characters themselves. You know, the nerd, they have the jock, the whore, you know. Granted, I don't think she is a whore, but that's what they referred to her in the movie as.
Yeah. It was, and it's really interesting about this movie. This is not a spoiler either. It was filmed much earlier than it was released. It was actually kind of shelved because MGM went through a bankruptcy. And then it ended up being picked up by Lionsgate a few years later because they were shown the movie. I'm not exactly sure how all that went down, but however that goes down. And they were like, oh, yeah, we want to release this movie. They loved it. And then, it had Chris Hemsworth in it before he was Thor. And he actually filmed Thor, I believe, after this movie. And Thor was released before this movie.
Yeah, and that's one thing that is interesting is they do have some pretty big names in here, but Chris Hemsworth was not a big name when this was done. But again, I mean, they have Sigourney Weaver in it.
Yes, but in a fairly
limited role.
A limited role, but like an important role. And without getting into anything...
but I mean, they also have Richard Jenkins. I mean, Richard Jenkins, yes, he's not a superstar, but he is fairly well-known character actor, and he's in this film, so he's another good get.
Yeah, they got. I liked all the actor, like everybody. I liked how everything just flowed. Everything was great. I liked the characters. I liked the things that they did. For the most part, but even if they did something that was a little odd, you knew why they did it that was odd. So it was, man, I like this movie a lot. It's really creative, and man, I'm gonna throw in some more trivia here.
Dude, go for it, man. I'm all about it.
So Drew Goddard and Josh Whedon, they wrote this movie, the script for this movie in 3 days.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they basically locked themselves in a hotel room and just cranked it out. So I think it was a long 3 days. But, yeah, man, I was just like, man, that's 3 days of them getting together. Like, they need to get together a lot.
Yeah, dude, they really need to start collaborating more. That would be fantastic.
because this was a lot of fun, and I know there were some issues getting it released, but man, I think this movie was just awesome. So
well, and they did get a pretty good, not to keep going back on the actors, but they did get a pretty good performance out of the majority of these unknown actors. I mean, think about it. Even Chris Hemsworth wasn't known back then.
No, he was. He was fresh. He was new, and I liked his character. He was kind of funny, and it was good.
I mean, all these actors, I'm just kind of flipping through them here, are still mostly known for Cabin in the Woods, even to this day. And that movie's 6 years old. And so just to get those kind of performances out of such fresh, new, young actors and actresses is impressive. Because I mean, I thought they did a good job. It wasn't like your typical horror movie where you get a fresh young face and they kind of are cringeworthy, I guess is a good way to put their acting. I mean, I think they genuinely did a solid job, all of the actors in this movie.
Yeah, I think they played their role well, and I think their roles were really well defined. And although you're right, there was like some of the stereotypes of the jock and the nerdy virgin girl and the horror character and the stoner guy. It served a purpose in this movie, but it seemed like they had a few scenes and stuff, and they weren't all just idiots and stuff. Like it was.
Well, that's one thing that's interesting. They actually bring that up, and it's a recurring theme throughout the movie without getting too much into spoilers. We keep saying that, but it's a recurring theme throughout the movie where the characters themselves or the characters' friends start going, why are you acting like that? Or why did you say this? Or why did you do that? So some of them clearly know something else is going on, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, because it seemed out of the ordinary the way that they were behaving at this particular cabin.
Because that's one of those things that is for sure when we sit there and watch, especially some of the older, cheesier horror movies, we're like, no, don't open that door. No, don't go in that room. God, you're such an idiot. No, don't do that. And so this movie explains, at least in this movie, why these characters are doing those dumb things or there's not typical things. And it's really smart on why. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. That just brought up in my mind just a quick flash of Scream. The movie Scream kind of makes fun of horror movies.
We might have to do that one for next year's Harvest Horror Fest. That might be fun. But
it was really cleverly done, and it was done by Wes Craven, which is like a horror, Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's the master.
Yeah.
He's a master of the art form of horror.
Yeah, and that was so cool because the first one's really good. Like the rest of them, it's hard to top it, but like the first one was so creative, and like they even made fun of like I'll be right back, and like everyone's splitting up and stuff, and that was brilliant. So like when you were just talking about that, that just flashed in my head.
That's great. That means you're expanding on your horizons of our bullshitting in this podcast. I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, perhaps.
That's good. You're getting there. You're growing, Michael, as a conversationalist. That was a big word. That hurt my brains. All right, so Mike, I don't know how much more we can go without just absolutely spoiling this movie. I think we should just start going into it. I definitely love this movie. I recommend it. If you have not seen it up to this point, go watch it. You'll love it. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. Is it streaming anywhere, Mike?
No, I don't believe it's streaming anywhere as of right now. I own this movie on Blu-ray, so I just watched it recently.
Yeah, same with me. As I've alluded in previous podcasts, I pre-ordered this Blu-ray, so I watched it as well. So, all right, Mike. Well, let's do it. Let's get to the start of the spoiling of Cabin in the Woods. Mike, how does Cabin in the Woods relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
All right, so this one was super easy, and I should have gone through the effort to look for another one, but I mean, when you have Thor just staring you in the face
with those beautiful brown eyes,
yeah,
or are they blue?
I think they're blue. You just can't. So anyway, Chris Hemsworth is also Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Thor 1. I don't remember.
No, we're not going to talk about that other one. Just Thor and Thor Ragnarok.
All right, Thor Ragnarok.
Avengers.
And then Avengers. Yeah, all the Avengers. Yeah,
Infinity War.
Yeah, lots of movies. So, anyway, this one was really easy, but I should have looked for another character. I just didn't get a chance.
That's one thing I do have a hard time when you watch this movie, or any role that Chris Hemsworth does. You always kind of envision him talking like Thor in like his big, grandiose, old school kind of style.
Yeah,
that would just be funny to hear him do like Cabin in the Woods like that. It would be hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't know. Like, I wonder if they made a sequel to this, do you think that he would do it? I think he would. I think he
I think he would. Yeah.
I think he liked these guys. Like, I think he liked working with Drew Goddard. Like, and Drew Goddard, this was his first movie, by the way.
His first movie ever, and it was this good. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and he got the attention of Josh Whedon, too. I mean, Josh Whedon, that's a big name. Even before this movie came out, he was still a big name dude.
Yeah. He was involved with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and not Serenity. That was the movie. The what's the show?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, he did. Oh, okay. Hold on. Stand by.
Stand by. Your mic's off to the internets.
Yeah, you talk about something.
There's Buffy, and then Avengers, and then Cabin in the Woods. Oh, dude, I could talk about anything. Justice League, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dollhouse, Spider-Woman.
Oh yeah, Dollhouse. Yeah, he was involved with Dollhouse. Yeah.
Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, Angel, Firefly. Were you talking Firefly?
Yeah, Firefly. Yeah. I couldn't think of the name of the series. They made a movie that was kind of a culmination of the end of the series because the series got canceled, but probably shouldn't have gotten canceled. Yeah, who knows?
Wow. Here's one for you. Did you know he wrote 4 of the episodes of the original Roseanne TV series?
No, I didn't know that.
Neither did I. He did 3 in 1989 and 1 in 1990.
Wow. Did you...
Again, this segment, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is brought to you by IMDb, our source of everything for this podcast.
An Amazon company. Anyway, I think the reason that Josh Whedon and Drew Goddard were able to get Sigourney Weaver to do her part in this movie was in 1997, Josh Whedon did Alien Resurrection. He was the writer.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, I bet you they hit it off. They're probably friends now.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, so, like, I mean, that's cool. Like, yeah.
All right, so Mike, do you want to roll into it? You want to start talking spoilers for Cabin in the Woods?
I was trying to think. Yeah. I'll talk some spoilers. I really liked how in this movie they kind of explain some of the just dumb decisions that characters make while they're in these situations by having them being manipulated by this kind of like control center of people that are watching them to do things that we'll tell you about in just a second. But I thought that was really creative. I thought that was really neat.
Do things to... I mean, you can tell we're in spoilers now, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, should I say, like, because the end of this movie, like...
So you don't have to go that far.
Yeah, but it keeps building and building, and you kind of don't know where you're going, and then when it gets to the very end, wow. That's all... Yeah. I mean, just...
Yeah, we don't have to go that far, but, like, I don't know. I mean, it does, hopefully you've watched it if you've made it to this point. We've warned you. But I know what you mean. Like, for instance, when you pointed out a little bit, you touched on the other horror films, and it's clearly a horror trope, is when they're walking into the cabin and Chris Hemsworth says, we all should stick together. And then one of the guys, he's like, oh no, we got to fix that. And he runs over and like hits a button and it like emits like a mind controlling spray of some kind.
Well, I think it's just some kind of gas. Yeah, I think it's just some kind of gas.
It's a spray, it's a gas, whatever.
Yeah.
And it hits him right in the face and he turns around and changes his mind. He said, yeah, we should split up. And then the same kind of gas hits like the other guy and he agrees with him like on the spot. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's split up. I just loved it. It was great because it shows you he was using his mind and saying, let's stick together. We'll do better together. And then he immediately flips around and changes it because of the control by, the guys in the white shirts.
Yeah. And there was even a part where, they're drinking and they're partying and Jules, played by Anna Hutchinson, had just like made out with the wolf or whatever. And
you mean the moose?
No, it was they called it a moose. Marty called it a moose because he's like, hey man, it's good weed. Anyway,
he's like, I'm living. I don't remember the exact line. He said I'm living in a universe of reefer or something like that.
Oh, it was pretty funny. I think that is exactly the line. I think you got it. Anyway,
and a tidbit about a moose for those of you. Who do not know, I am the photographer of the Northern Arizona Suns G League basketball team here in Prescott Valley, Arizona. If you ever want to get under the skin of the Northern Arizona Suns mascot, call him a moose. He's not a big fan of being called a moose because he's not a moose. He's supposed to be a javelina, and everybody calls him a moose, and it's hilarious.
What does the costume look like? I mean, a moose and a javelina are nowhere near each other.
Well, he looks like a javelina, and he has horns, not horns, tusks, and he has a big orange mohawk and stuff. But he walks on two legs and not four. But yeah, he does not look like a moose. But the story goes is a kid called him a moose, and ever since then, it's got spread around. That's how you set him off. Is you call him a moose.
All right.
It's pretty funny. Not to derail it, but.
So, this there's a part where Marty is like talking about Kurt, which is Chris Hemsworth character. And he's like, what are you doing? This guy, he's like this major in psychology or whatever, and he's like really smart. Why is he acting like this dumb jock right now? Like it was kind of funny to see them like calling out, or at least Marty was calling out a lot of people because apparently his marijuana was the antidote for these weird gases because it was I don't know, making him block most of the effects of these different things that they were trying to do.
Yeah, the chem department screwed up is how they said it in the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the chem department screwed up.
Yeah, the chem department, instead of it being overactive and making him be an idiot, it did the exact opposite and made him realize everything that was going on. And it also blocked all the effects of everything they were doing to everyone with the gases and the noises and various other things.
Oh, yeah, and I loved, there's a scene in this where they're kind of, they even had like a lottery on what was going to happen to these people in the office, and it's pretty crazy because there's this big grid, and it's kind of like, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about the office pool?
Yeah, the office.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and then they go, and basically they're in this basement, and it's just full of like crazy stuff. Like all of them are looking at things, and the way that they have it shot, it's like at any second, one of them's going to do something that's going to cause something to happen, and then one person starts reading, and then that's like what happens. But it was pretty crazy because it's like one guy's got something in his hand, somebody else is like looking at something. Like it's like they were moments away from causing some other kind of outcome, because whatever they essentially chose in the basement was what was going to be coming after them, and it ended up being the was it the Buckners? The
Buckners.
The zombies were called the Buckners.
Yeah, well, and that's what's interesting too, is if you pay attention at the start of the film, the what's his name? They call him
the Harbinger.
Mordecai. The Harbinger.
Yeah.
Mordecai. He even says, "Oh, you mean the old Buckner place?"
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah,
about the cabin. Yeah. So there's a little foreshadowing there in the movie itself. You know, he didn't say anything else. He said the old Buckner place. He didn't say the weird ballerina or whatever else, the merman or whatever.
Right.
Which, God, dude, that joke was funny. How Bradley Whitford's character, Hadley, kept saying, you know, man, I never get to see a merman. You know, he always bet on, like, the merman.
Oh, yeah, in the office pool. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a constant running joke, like, throughout, like, the movie. I thought that was so funny. Because, I mean, merman. I mean, seriously, come on. Who even thinks of a merman? Are you sure mermen even exist? And, of course, it can't be a mermaid, because mermaids are, you know, attractive and nice and kind. Of course, a merman has to be a horror creature.
Right, yeah. And I mean, since we're spoiling it, the at the end there, when he's meeting his mind, he's like, really?
That's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like what was it in Family Guy? They have a kind of a rip on the merman as well in Family Guy. Like Lois gets stranded on a desert island, and a merman is what saved her, but it's the opposite of what you would think of a merman. The top half of the guy is a fish. Oh, and all the merman wants to do is have sex with her the whole time. It's so
nice.
Funny. He's like, but I got the right parts. You wouldn't want the bottom half of me to be a fish. It was so funny.
Nice.
Anyways. All right, Mike. So what else should we discuss about Cabin in the Woods? Because I know you don't want to give it all away, because even if you haven't seen it, it is fun. And it is quite shocking when you get to the end. Yeah, and not what you would think.
The ending of this movie was so much fun and completely not expected, and I loved it. I loved the whole way that this third act plays out. So I don't think we should give that away in our spoiler-filled review. All I can say is that if you haven't seen this movie and you like horror movies, or you like Chris Hemsworth, or I don't know, any kind of excuse to watch this movie, you should.
You don't need an excuse. Just watch it.
All right. Yeah. Just watch it. And I mean, I guess That's all I have. Without getting too
there's
too
one
crazy.
I had to bring up.
What do you got? What do you got?
Like one of my favorite scenes, and it's one of the funnier scenes. And I don't know if it was intended to be as funny as it was supposed to be scary. And I'm gonna do my best not to ruin it. But the elevators, not the single one, the elevators when they open up, I thought that was just one of the funniest scenes of this whole freaking movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that is a funny scene, but
I don't think it was intended to be super funny, and to me, I thought it was hilarious.
yeah, but you're getting closer to messing up that third act, but that is
No, I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best not to.
Yeah, that is a very funny scene. There's a lot of cool scenes in this that are just this movie was definitely very creative. I love that the story was just different and fun and they're trying to explain a lot of different things that happen that are just terrible in horror movies, and it was so fun. I can't believe they made it in 3 days, man. That's awesome.
Oh, you mean they wrote it in 3 days? I don't think they made it in 3 days.
No, they wrote it in 3 days. Yeah. And then this is Drew Goddard's first directorial movie. Like, wow.
Yeah, and what is he? He's done a lot of stuff since, hasn't he? I mean, he did The Martian. He works on The Good Place, which I love. I love The Good Place.
Yeah, I think he's done quite a bit of stuff. He
did one that we're probably going to talk about eventually, maybe. He did Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yes, he just directed that. That's his next big one, because it looked like he directed a couple episodes for The Good Place. And he did a little short on Cabin in the Wood, an Army of Nightmares makeup and animatronic effects.
It's probably on the Blu-ray. I'd have to look, though.
He did stuff with Daredevil.
Oh, yeah, the Netflix show?
And The Defenders, he did a thing. He did the screenplay for The Martian, World War Z. Yeah, he's got some stuff. He did a lot of stuff with Lost. Cloverfield.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
Do you see this? He's going to direct X-Force?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, dude, that's going to be awesome. Oh, that's going to be fun. Oh, Andy's writing it, too. I bet you Ryan Reynolds is going to be part of that, though, because Ryan Reynolds plays a big, big part in writing all the Deadpool stuff.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like, I think you told me he's a huge fan of Deadpool. So, like,
oh yeah,
it's kind of like a fanboy writing his own.
There's theories too out there in the world. I don't know how true they are because it's it could be just some asshole made it up. But the absolute horrible version of Deadpool we got in X-Men Origins Wolverine, supposedly, I don't know if it was Marvel or if it was the directors or if it was Sony. It might have been Sony. Said if Ryan Reynolds,
been, Fox, because Fox did those.
Fox
ones.
Was it Fox? Yes,
yeah.
It's Fox because that would have been X-Men. So that would have been Fox. Yeah. So you're right, Fox. So I think it was Fox said if you do not play Deadpool in Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, we won't let you play him in anything else. And supposedly he was so adverse to doing that Deadpool role, he wasn't going to do it. He was denying it. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to, but they forced him into doing it by telling him that there's no way he would ever play Deadpool again if he didn't do it for that movie. Now, again, that might just be 100% made up hearsay, but I don't remember where. I think I read that in an article or watched it on a YouTube video or something, but I thought that was fascinating. how they strong-armed him into playing a really terrible Deadpool.
That actually would make a lot more sense of why he did it in the first place. So that fits the narrative there, but I don't know if it's 100% true.
I don't know. I just know I love Deadpool to death. I think he is so much fun. And it's mainly because he is the exact opposite of what a comic book superhero kind of person should be. He knows who he is. He doesn't care. He still goes on. I love Deadpool. He's awesome. Anyways, enough about Deadpool. Mike, let's get into it. How many reels do you give Cabin in the Woods? Since I already gave my reels last podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 4.5 reels, and I do love this movie a lot. I'm a stickler, man. I just won't give out those 5 reels. I don't know.
That is blasphemy. If Jaws was in Cabin in the Woods, you would have given it a 5.
Yeah, if Bruce was in there, man, 5.
That would have been fun, though. That would have been hilarious if they threw in Bruce there, like when the Virgin falls in the lake and she gets pulled out. If you see like a fin go by, that would have been awesome.
Yes, except for sharks usually aren't in freshwater. I mean,
but if the puppeteers could have released it.
It's true. It's true.
Eh?
All right.
Zombies aren't real.
Yeah, I'm with you. I
see where I'm going here?
Yeah, I see where you're going. Yep.
All right. So, as I've already alluded to and already exclaimed in our last podcast, I give Cabin in the Woods a perfect score. I give it a 5 out of 5. I love this movie, and it could just be because it's a really fun, awesome horror movie, and I'm not a huge horror movie buff, and this one just really just kind of knocked me out of my seat. It was just unexpected, fun, exciting, hilarious. It had it all for me. It really did.
Yeah, no, this movie was so much better than I would have thought it would have been. And I'm so glad that my coworker was like, you should probably go see this movie. It was pretty good.
Well, all right, Mike, on that note, let's go ahead and close it out, but let's remind everyone that we are probably going to be on a little bit of a hiatus. I might do a couple solo casts here and there and whatnot. Mike has a lot going on in life. I have a lot going on in life as well. But I think might be skipping a few episodes here coming up in the future, so just sit tight. If not, enjoy our future episodes.
Yeah. So, like Matt was saying, I have a big life event going on. I am getting married, and it's going to take a lot of time here for the next few weeks. So, I might be absent of a few episodes. I think we're going to try and do a couple to get ahead, but I don't know if we're going to get all that stuff done. And anyway, I guess with all that,
one thing I do want to add, one last. We still haven't gotten an email or any. We get comments on YouTube sometimes and Facebook sometimes under messages, but we haven't gotten an email yet. So email us, message us, let us know what you thought of the first Harvest Horror Fest, because hopefully it will become an annual event. And so let us know if you liked it, if you'd like to have it return. Now, don't get us wrong. We will continue to review horror movies, especially in our Legacy Cast segments. But if you enjoyed nothing but having horror movies for half of this month, let us know, and we'll do it again.
Yeah. No, I love talking about horror movies. So, horror movies. Anyway.
Well, screw it. If you guys don't let us know, or you do let us know, we're still going to do it. How's that?
All right. Sounds good to me.
I had to twist your arm really hard on that one, didn't I, Mike?
Yes.
See, now we're down to the one-word answers. That means you're passing out at your keyboard.
No,
So,
not quite yet, no.
So, all right. Well, I'm good, Michael. And why don't you just go ahead and take us on out? Do your thing.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This was a fun one. Sorry it's a little long, but we really like this movie. So, anyway, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to The Real Film Nerds. Now, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Real Film Nerds. Now, go out and catch a movie.